What is going on, Guardians? Today I wanted to put out a video on what I believe is the best, the absolute best build you can be running for ad clear right now. And with the new changes to this little exotic right here, the Starfire Protocol, with it being nerfed, I believe that this exotic right here could also be the best thing for damage output. And that's going to be the Sunbracers, which if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what the Sunbracers do, the exotic perk is called Helium Spirals. It increases the duration of solar grenades, and solar melee kills grant unlimited solar grenade energy for a brief time. Now, to touch on this brief time, if you don't know what it is roughly 5 seconds. So you will get roughly 5 seconds of unlimited, and I mean unlimited, spam of your solar grenades. Then for our ability tree here for our subclass, we are firstly going to be running Phoenix Dive, which a lot of people wonder, why don't I run healing or empowering rift? Well, Phoenix Dive is going to give us a little bit of healing, and for some boss fights, like I run this a lot in the third encounter of the Root of Nightmares raid, the bosses can slam, and that'll launch you into the sky if you're running Heat Rises. And it's really hard to get back down if you don't have a movement ability like Phoenix Dive. The next thing is Celestial Fire. You can run Incinerator Snap. The only reason I run Celestial Fire is in my opinion, it's a little more consistent. Incinerator Snap will give you a little bit more damage most of the time. But Celestial Fire is more consistent because it's projectiles, whereas this is more Scorch. And it's a longer range, so you just have a little bit more range so you can proc the Sunbracers. And then obviously I'm running Solar Grenades. Then the very important things are the aspects here. The first one's going to be the Touch of Flame, which for Solar Grenades, it will increase the duration, which already is increased by Sunbracers, so it just increases it a little bit more. And it will periodically emit blobs of lava around its perimeter. This is the thing that makes these like absolutely broken right now, and absolutely broken for both damage and for ad clear. The next thing I'm going to be running is Heat Rises. Now, a lot of people ask me, well, Aegon, why don't you run Icarus Dash? It gives you that little bit of extra airborne, and there's so many things that could go wrong with Heat Rises. Well, I'm going to answer that question. So firstly, it allows you to throw the grenades while gliding, which is more of a quality of life thing than anything else. The big thing is going to be that final blows while airborne will increase the duration of Heat Rises and grant melee energy. So let's say you're floating around the map and you whiff your melee for some reason, you don't get off the Sunbracers perk. What you can do is you can get a couple kills, and it will allow you to get your melee back. This also, if you are able to get this procced, what you're probably going to want to do is spam it over and over and over again. So as you get these solar grenade final blows, what it'll do is it'll give you your melee energy back almost immediately if you're in the air. As for the fragments that I'm going to be running, the first one is going to be Ember of Empyrean, which is going to allow solar weapon and ability final blows to extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects. Pretty much you will get more healing, and any of the solar grenade kills or the melee kills will extend the duration of any of the healing or damage boosts that you get from your subclass. The next thing I'm going to be running is Ember of Solace. Radiant and restoration effects applied to you have an increased duration, which kind of ties into everything else. So any buffs and healing that I get from this will have an increased duration. Ember of Ashes, you will apply more Scorch stacks to targets. This is going to be very helpful if I use this build for either boss damage or taking out major enemies. This is also going to help deal with large groups of ads that aren't able to be killed by the grenades. Any ads that are still left alive are going to be scorched and will ignite almost immediately. And then Ember of Resolve. Solar grenade final blows cure you. So anytime I get a kill with these, I get roughly half of my health back almost immediately. So this all ties well together. Now, as for the mods that I'm running, the first one that is very important is Ashes to Assets. What this is going to do is it's going to allow me to gain extra super ability energy when I get grenade kills, which with this build being completely focused around killing things with my grenade, that makes this mod extremely broken. I can use Well of Radiance as many times as I want, pretty much. The next thing are pretty much just going to make this a little bit easier. Fastball, it will increase the grenade throw distance. This is almost a must, as it will allow me to throw the grenades just a little bit further. The next thing is firepower. This is also a very, very important mod to run. Your grenade final blows create orbs of power. Now, I believe this happens on roughly every other grenade kill, so this is going to be completely and utterly broken, as you're going to be killing whole rooms of enemies with your grenades, so you will be generating a lot of orbs of power for both you and your allies. And then momentum transfer. Causing damage with a grenade reduces your melee cooldown. This is more of an insurance mod than anything else. This is more just in case something like the heat rises doesn't work, or I mess something up with the rotation for the build. The next thing that I'm going to be running is Bomber. This, once again, just makes it a little bit easier. As for my weapons that I'm running and why I'm running them, the first one's going to be Arbalest. As I mentioned, the place that I use this a lot is going to be the third encounter of the Root of Nightmares, which makes me deal with a lot of yellow bar enemies. And if I am not able to get these Sunbracers procced, those can be a big problem. And especially in the master version. So for the normal version, this just helps take down the yellow bar enemies. As for the master version, this is going to be my way to pierce those barrier champion shields. Now for Barons, as I mentioned, if I'm not able to get my melee back with the Sunbracers perk, and I'm for some reason not able to get kills with my solar grenades, I somehow lose my melee, what I can do is just float up into the air, fire a forbearance at the ground, and what it's going to do is kill the whole room of enemies pretty much on its own. And what that'll do is allow me to get my melee back very, very quickly. This is just an extra, pretty much add clear weapon, and it's the best suited candidate for the job. Then we have the Commemoration, which I have this on just for a little bit of extra add clear. This build right here is more so if you are solely an add clear person. However, this is very easily swapped out for something like a hothead or another rocket launcher for extra damage. A lot of these weapons are, pretty much all the weapons can be swapped out. These are just the things that I like to run. The Commemoration I am going to be running just as an extra source of add clear. But anyways, that is it for the build guide itself. I'm going to have some gameplay after this, just showing you guys how, firstly, the rotation works to set this build up, and secondly, to show you the absolute devastation this build can cause inside of, or anywhere where you can kill multiple enemies at once. So anyways, that's going to be it for me. Like I mentioned, I'm going to have some gameplay after this, but Aegon out.